We live in a world that's always demanding more from us, right? Pushing us to constantly do more, achieve more. But what if the real key to peace isn't in what we do, but in who we fundamentally are? Today, we're going to explore a really profound shift in perspective that gets right to the very heart of our existence. So let's start with this powerful idea from Eckhart Tolle. Just think about that for a second. That feeling of endless striving, the constant chase for the next goal, the next promotion, the next big thing. Tolle's point is that as long as we're only operating in this human dimension of doing, we're basically trapped in a cycle that is designed for dissatisfaction. It's the very root of our struggle. So where does this dissatisfaction really come from? Well, it all starts with role playing. Look, we all have functions we need to perform. We're parents, we're employees, we're friends. That stuff is necessary. The real danger pops up when we get so completely identified with them that the function turns into this rigid, all-consuming role. And that's exactly where the ego loves to step in, creating a false identity out of what we do. And you've probably felt this, right? Are you the manager who just can't stop managing when you get home? Or maybe the parent who still sees their adult child as if they're 5 years old? When we get locked into these roles, we totally lose touch with our authentic self underneath it all. We end up just acting out a script instead of simply being. Okay, so this brings us right to the core concept we're digging into today. You are a human being. And that's not just a label. It's the two interwoven dimensions of your entire existence. And really understanding this distinction, that is the key to mastering life. So let's break these two sides down. On one hand, you have the human dimension. This is all about form, the roles you play, the stuff you do, that constant stream of thoughts in your head. But then there's the being dimension, which is totally formless. It's that still, aware consciousness underneath everything. That simple, quiet feeling of being alive. The goal here isn't to get rid of the human part, but to bring it into balance with our deeper nature. So what's the thing that keeps us stuck in that human dimension? Yeah, you guessed it. It's the ego. When we're disconnected from our true inner power, the ego feels this deep sense of lack, of not enoughness. And to fill that void, it goes searching for what you might call secondary power from the outside world. This comes from getting recognition, controlling other people, or just feeling important in the roles we play. And here's where the ego's little game gets really fascinating. We usually think of ego as just arrogance, right? But shyness can be just as ego-driven. The person who acts all superior, they're often hiding a deep fear of being inferior. And the shy person who's terrified of criticism, well, they're often hiding a secret desire to be seen as the absolute greatest. They're just two sides of the very same fragile, mind-made self. So how do we escape this game? What's the way out? Well, the antidote is something called presence. By bringing your attention fully into the present moment, you actually take power away from the thinking mind and the ego. You connect with that dimension of being, and that is where your true power is. There's this fantastic Zen story that explains this idea perfectly. So, picture an archery competition. There's this one archer, and he's trying incredibly hard to win, but he just can't hit his target. He's tense, he's frustrated, he's totally failing. So someone watching nearby turns to the Zen master and asks, what is he doing wrong? I mean, the archer's form looks right, his equipment is good, so what's the problem? And the master's insight is just profound. The archer's attention isn't on the act of shooting the arrow right now. No, it's fixed on some future moment, winning the prize. And that desperate need to win is draining him of the very power that only ever exists in the present. This shows us a huge truth. Focusing on the outcome creates stress, but focusing on the doing, that's what channels power. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually put it into practice in our real lives? Let's go over two really simple mental tools you can use every single day to connect with that inner stillness. All right, first up is a practice called becoming transparent. Think about when something irritating happens, a loud noise, an annoying comment. We usually build this inner wall of resistance, and that's what hurts us. So instead, visualize yourself as transparent. Imagine that irritation just passing right through you. All of a sudden, the thing that would have made you angry now becomes a chance to practice presence. The second tool is this wonderful metaphor of the deep lake. Just think of your life circumstances, the good, the bad, all of it, as the surface of a lake. It's always changing with the weather, right? But you are the entire lake, And that includes its calm, undisturbed depths. It doesn't matter how rough the surface gets, your deep inner peace, your being, remains completely untouched. Let's make this super real. You're stuck in a traffic jam, and you're late for a meeting. The old reaction is stress and anger, right? Well, the new approach is to recognize this as a challenge, a chance to practice. Instead of fuming, you just take a conscious breath. Feel the aliveness in your hands. Be the deep lake. You can literally turn your greatest frustrations into your greatest spiritual practice. Now, when you start practicing presence consistently, something truly remarkable starts to happen. It leads to this final, profound shift in your identity, one that changes not just how you handle stress, but how you see your very place in the universe. It turns out the ego's greatest illusion is created by two simple little words: my life. The moment we think of life as something we possess, we create a separation. It becomes this object, this thing, separate from us that we could potentially lose. But what if that separation is just an illusion? The real truth is, you don't have a life. You are life. You are the universe expressing itself and experiencing itself as a human being for just a little while. You're not some separate entity that came into this world. You're an expression that came out of it. And that brings us to this final, beautiful metaphor. We so often feel like we're the dancer, struggling to control the chaotic dance of life. But the deeper truth is that life itself is the dancer, that one universal consciousness. And you are a temporary, unique, and absolutely beautiful expression of its dance. And true freedom comes when you stop trying to control the dance and simply become it.